Welcome back, Black Knights. This is lesson 1.3 and it has to do with combining like terms. So still, just like we've been doing since 1.1, we're simplifying expressions, but now we're combining like terms. So first thing we have to do is figure out what like terms are. And in order to know if two terms are like, they have to have the same variable, which is the same thing as saying the same letter. They have to have the same variable and the same power. So if you're taking notes, that would be a great thing to write down, that like terms have the same variable and power. So variable is similar to, it's another way of saying letter, and then power is similar to saying if they're both squared, if they're both cubed. So for variable, some like terms would be 3a and negative 4a. Now those two are like terms because they have the same variable, the variable which is a, and they have the same power, which is actually 1. It's not written there, but a is the same as a to the first power. So let's see, what else would be like terms? 4x squared and x squared. Those would be like terms because they have the same variable, which is x, and they have the same power, which is 2 to the second power. So we could combine them if they wanted us to add them together or subtract them. All right. One more example for you. 2 and negative 9. Those can be combined because neither of them have variables, and neither of them really have powers. They would be to the 0 power, but they can be combined. We can obviously subtract 9 from 2. If we wanted to do 2 minus 9, we could get negative 7 for that. So those are like terms, and so we can combine those, which is what we're doing this lesson. Quick, some examples of non-like terms would be 3a and 5b. Those would not be like terms, so we couldn't add them or subtract one from the other. Another example would be 2x and 3x squared. Now they both have x, they have the same variable, but they don't have the same power, so we can't combine them. And then maybe 2 and 2y. One of them has a variable, one of them doesn't, so they can't be combined. All right. With that in mind, let's go ahead and try some of these problems down here. The first one, we have two different terms. Terms are, let's see, they're separated by a plus or a minus sign. So keep that in mind. We have, in the first problem, we have two different terms because they're separated by that plus sign right there. So one term is negative 4x and one is 5x. Now let's check to make sure we can combine them. They both have an x attached to them, so that's the same variable, and they're both to the first power like we said, so those can be combined. So it's kind of like, well, they can be combined, so it's kind of like saying negative 4 plus 5, which is going to give us positive 1. So equals 1x, And you never have to write the 1 in front of the x, so this is also equal to just x. So negative 4x plus 5x is x. Alright, let's go on to number 2. And we have 1 and plus 5v plus v minus 6. So we have a plus sign there, a plus sign there, and a minus sign there. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 terms. And we're going to see if we can combine any of those together. So see if you can find another like term that's like 1. And hopefully you look over here, there's a negative 6 right there. So those two can be combined. We can't combine it with the 5v or the v, but we can combine those two together. And 1 minus 6 is negative 5. So we're left with two terms. We have a plus 5v. Always attach that plus or minus sign that's out in front to whatever you circle. So plus 5v and plus v. So positive 5v plus v. It's like if we had 5 apples and we added one more apple. How many apples would we have? We'd have 6 apples. So this is plus 6v. That's going to be our solution to that one. Alright, let's do a couple more. We have 4n plus 4 plus 1 plus 3n. So let's start with this 4n. Are there any other terms that have the same variable and the same power as that? Well, yes, there's a 3n. So those can be combined. 4n plus 3n is 7n. And then as far as other terms, we have plus 4 and plus 1. Those are like terms. That's kind of like up here. Neither of them have a letter, so they can be combined. So 7n plus 4 plus 1 is 5. Alright. So let's do number 5. Let's try that one. Go ahead and pause it and try it yourself real quick, and then we'll do it together. Alright, assuming you gave that a try, we have negative 2x minus 8 minus 7x plus 2. So the other like term is the negative 7x. So negative 2x minus 7x is going to give us negative 9x. And then we have negative 8 plus 2. I've been color coding these, but if you want to keep the terms straight in your head, you could put a square around some of them and put a circle around the other ones. So we have negative 8 plus 2 is negative 6. So our answer would be negative 9x minus 6, which is the same thing as negative 2x minus 8 minus 7x plus 2. So as long as terms have the same variable, in other words the same letter and the same power, so they have to be both squared or cubed or to the 4th power, they can be combined, meaning you can add or subtract them.